Fame, Georgia head coach, Marshall as well. At Georgia, he was the first coach to take them to 4 consecutive bowl victories. Does lots of media out there on the East Coast. And Coach Manuch when he was just a little pup. That's Jim Donnan. Coach Roc, along with Manuch, how are you, my friend? You ready for some football?
Yeah, hey, you guys know where to relocate, man. That's pretty impressive. They got Toyota out there, and my best friend's a big Toyota dealership, so you must have moved up for them to have you on a remote out there.
Yeah, I think we're doing our thing here, Coach. Speaking of like things that move, like I read somewhere, and I'm surprised you've been coming on our show for so many years, and I never knew about this motivational moment that you had back. I think it was 1997, where you drove a steamroller into practice, and you told your players that they'd have to decide whether they're going to be the steamroller or the pavement, and then you end up winning 47-0. Where did you get that idea?
Well, I'm not the great motivator that sounds like, but, every year you got to have some kind of statement before the season started. And we didn't do very well the first year, and we were trying to make the transition. And I basically told our team early in the year, before practice started in the fall, it's time for us to show up. We're either going to be the steamroller or the pavement, and that was it. But we were playing like our 4th game against a good Mississippi State team coached by Jackie Sherrill. And I was walking over to the dining hall, and they were repairing the parking lot there. And this guy was out there on a steamroller. So I walked out and said, look, about 3:30, could you drive that up to the practice field and show me how to work it? And we'll use it for about 10 minutes. He said, sure, Coach, I'll do it. So I told the coaches that I was going to, for while we were stretching, for the players to turn their backs, and I was going to crank that baby up and ride it in. And basically I wanted to let them know that, hey, we were going to be the steamroller. I thought we were rolling. So it worked out good. And I don't know that made us win so easily, but it was something that was just kind of a happenstance and gets a lot of play because you don't usually ride into practice on a steamroller.
It's 47-0.
Yeah.
I mean, you did.
And I'll share a story as well, too. Coach, I remember our last game against KU in Manhattan. I'd never heard you cuss ever during the time I've been with you. And then when we got done warming up, you gathered the entire team or the entire offense together in there. And you said, we got to get after these guys. But all of a sudden you go, we're going to kick the dog, out of these guys. And I went, wow. I mean, that you had me jacked up from the get-go, but I mean, we came out.
Yeah, well,
next, it's 30-0.
The biggest deal on these pregame speeches is overrated, but I think it's certainly if your coach doesn't show, you got to be realistic. You're not going to go against some team that you don't really have a good shot. But preparation is so critical for anybody. I mean, just like when any of the listeners out here, they in high school or college or whatever, you were taking a test. And you were prepared and ready to go, you probably did pretty well. But when you didn't work very hard and didn't study, then the test was going to be a lot more difficult. And I just felt like our preparation for KU, the fact that K-State hadn't done very well, I thought all week that we really had prepared our lesson. And I just want everybody to know that I felt like we were ready to do it. And let me tell you something, we beat them. And they left the scoreboard on for 2 weeks after we beat them.
That's right. We sure did. 36-20, 30-0 at one time. But when you talk about motivation, and you think of the Kirby Smart and the top coaches in college football, is that motivation a constant anymore for these kids that are coming and going with transfer portal and NIL, or is it just the way of life you teach these guys it has to be to have that kind of success?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that coaches have to deal with that we didn't. Wear a lot of different hats, and you don't know what your squad's going to look like because of these 2 different portal situations. I hope they'll get it down to 1, but also, I don't think these kids, just because you chew on them, are going to leave and say I'm going to go somewhere else. But it is a little bit different now because of the opportunities to leave and go play. And I really can't fault the young man that's been around for a couple of years and has a chance to play somewhere else. I mean, playing time is a lot more important than the money. But definitely you got to work on the morale of the team. You got to work on their confidence. Just like for us, I mean, they haven't lost many games here, and they won the SEC last year. But you thought we didn't even have a very good year because we didn't win but a game in the playoffs. So every team, you measure success in degrees. Success for some teams is 7 or 8 wins. Some just winning 3 or 4 games, and some of them's getting all the way. So, but we've created a monster here, Kirby. The expectancy level is up to the max.
Coach Donnan joining us here, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B here on ESPN Phoenix. You bring up Georgia, Texas, and Oklahoma now in the SEC. What is the vibe with SEC diehards with Texas and Oklahoma being in the league? And then when the media comes out for the media poll, they pick the Texas Longhorns to win.
Well, there's some old traditionalists that didn't want them in the league, and some that want to keep everything like it used to be and pretend Newt Rockney's still alive. So they're not going to change. But I think the main thing here around our university is we see the benefit of adding not only the football, but the other sports that these teams bring in. Oklahoma's gymnastics, their softball, Texas, all the different platforms that they have. And that just adds to these non-revenue sports and the competition. But as far as Texas being picked number 1, realistically, of the teams that are coming back that were in the last 4, they've got more guys back, and they've got even though Arch is not a quarterback's proven, he certainly got ability. And their schedule is so much different than any of the other top teams. I mean, it's just the luck of the draw, but Texas and Missouri is really not fair, the teams they're playing compared to the rest of the league, because they don't have to play some of the really, really good teams except Texas against us. And I'm not griping about it, but it's still, your schedule has a lot to do with your success rate. And of course, of course, I'm a big OU guy, but they drew the short stick, and their schedule is a lot tougher. But as far as what they bring to the league, I mean, traditional blue blood programs that anybody in the country would cut on to watch, and it helps your TV package, helps everybody else. I mean, it's a win-win for both those schools and for the SEC.
Coach, it just seems like, as you alluded to, that Georgia just reloads every year. The move from Carson Beck to junior quarterback Gunnar Stockton, and when I read this quote, I thought of you and how you dealt with me. It says, Mike Bobo says he's been working on layering the ball with Gunnar and teaching him how to pass and not to gun it in there, pardon the pun, so often. I thought back to my days with you. You taught me how to pass, layer it in there versus, throw that tennis ball and those quick slants and those hook routes all the time. Is he growing in that aspect as a quarterback when you watch this young kid?
Yeah, I think any quarterback has a tendency to maybe want to show you that he's got the gun and he's going to take some risk. And particularly when you're trying to prove yourself, not only to your position coach, but your fellow teammates, because there is a question mark about Georgia. As soon as any station in the country would ask about Georgia, including yours, they're going to say, who's the quarterback? What's he going to be? So, but he grew up wanting to be the Georgia quarterback. His dad was a high school coach here. His dad was a good player in college. He's always wanted to be the guy. And, most states, the young men grow up wearing those hats to class and wanting to be the guy at their school. And at Georgia, that's a big deal. So he's paid the price. But I will say this, as a quarterback coach that's watched him, he's had so many reps in practice against quality. I'm talking about NFL guys that all of you know, your listeners out there, Jalen Carter, all these guys have been drafted and playing. He's been a scout team quarterback against them. He's had we have an inordinate amount of reps because we have a lot of depth. So he gets to go a lot in practice that some teams maybe aren't training quite as many guys. And he's prepared as far as preparation and knowing what to do. He's just got to do it when the band's playing.
Coach, I look at Georgia. I mean, you open up against, it's got to be kind of tough when you open up against Marshall. You've coached at both. But when you look ahead, Tennessee in the third week, Alabama in the fourth week, it doesn't get easy. as this looks like a heck of a schedule. And Texas is waiting for you in mid-November. Outside of Georgia and Texas, who else in the league are you pretty concerned about?
Yeah, I'm concerned about, the way you saw all these upsets last year, but watch out for Marshall from this perspective, and then we'll get to it. They've got 60 transfers, so how do you know what they're going to do? A whole new coaching staff, a new head coaching staff. So your first game is kind of a crapshoot in your preparation, so they're going to have to be really on point there to adjust. So I don't think this game is going to be quite as easy as it might have been just because the unknown. But as far as the rest of the league, a team that gets my attention that really is under the gun because they've started out so poorly every year with a loss is LSU. And the expectancy level there is always high, like you guys know. But they do have a veteran quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier, some really talented receivers. And hopefully, I'm not pulling for them, but hopefully their defense is going to start playing good enough where they don't always have to play from behind. And when you're playing from behind, and Manuch will tell you this, everybody, you're always maybe taking a few more risks. And as compared, your defense can play a lot better when they can run their packages. But I think LSU is a team that scares me. Another one, because of the quarterback, is South Carolina. They came on really strong last year. You realize that the last two times they've gone into Death Valley and played at Clemson, they've beaten Dabo Swinney's team. And when you can win the state championship of South Carolina, in that small state, boy, that is big for your recruiting and everything else. But they got a quarterback in Lenora Sellers who's a big, strong, physical guy that looks like Cam Newton. He can run with the ball. He can throw. He makes good decisions, and he gives them a chance. I'm worried a little bit about some of their defensive guys they've lost, but I think they're a team, too, that could be a surprise team. And you could say that about everybody else, but hopefully Oklahoma, I'm pulling for them because my whole family lives out there, and I'd like to see them make a turnaround too.
Coach, always a pleasure to have you on. We will be tracking you down during the season, but always a pleasure. Always great to catch up. And as I always say, thank you so much for moving me along to where I'm at today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Coach,
it's always good to talk to you guys, and I just want to know one thing. Has Brock Purdy given you any money since he signed that contract?
Well, at least he's returning my text, Coach. I guess that's a start right there. As busy as, and then
Coach, he's got another guy. There's a chance that he's going to have two starters in the National Football League competing against each other here.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck could be the starter there.
He is definitely he's the guru, but Rock, I think that Purdy should take you and Manucci over to Italy and take you out to spaghetti dinner.
I mean, he was coming on our show when he was in diapers. I mean, we've been working with him for a long time.
And Coach, watch Tyler Shuck. Hopefully, he starts New Orleans. I've been training him since 8th grade, so he might.
Well, don't y'all forget about me until the playoffs. Now, at least call me one other time. Now.
Oh, we will, Coach.
Have a great weekend,
Thanks,
Coach. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
That's Coach Donnan joining us. Always great. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Again, he talked about the Marshall. That's a great story there in Nebraska, or at Marshall, when they cleaned house when the head coach left. And, of course, his success there at Georgia. He's brought to you today by All City Towing. Of course, we talk about it every day. They are the largest towing company in the state, a place where you can get your career to another level, a serious boost. And they're hiring all types of positions. All you have to do is go to their website, allcitytowing.com, you search careers, and you can take that next step. All City Towing, where your future is on the move. We're going to keep talking about legends like Jim Donnan, like Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney, and some of the rising stars like Kenny Dillingham. The top 25 college football coaches for 2025 are out. Who's climbing? Who's falling? Where's Kenny on this list? We'll get into that next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.